As she sat watching the world go by, something caught her eye. It wasn't so much its color or shape, but the way it was moving. She squinted to see if she could better understand what it was and where it was going, but it didn't help. As she continued to stare into the distance, she didn't understand why this uneasiness was building inside her body. When we interact with others, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that their behavior toward us is a direct reflection of who we are. If someone criticizes us, gives us a cold shoulder, or makes a hurtful comment, it can feel as if we're the target of their emotions and our self-worth takes a hit. But here's the essential truth. People's actions are a reflection of them, not you. Understanding this can change how you perceive the world and protect your peace of mind. First and foremost, it's important to recognize that everyone walks through life carrying their own unique set of experiences, beliefs, and emotional baggage. When someone acts out, lashes out, or behaves in a way that feels negative, it's often not about you at all. It's about what they're experiencing internally. People react based on their own emotional state, not necessarily a direct response to something you've done. If someone snaps at you, for example, their outburst could stem from stress, frustration, or something completely unrelated to you. They may be carrying their own unresolved emotions and might project them onto you without even realizing it. Take a moment and think about how you've reacted in certain situations. Perhaps you've been short with someone because of stress from work, or maybe you were irritable because of something personal you were going through. When we're in a heightened emotional state, we might direct our frustrations onto those closest to us, even if they have nothing to do with the problem at hand. And it's important to understand that the same thing happens with others. When they direct negative energy your way, it's often more about their personal struggles, moods, or unresolved issues than about anything you've done. It's also worth considering that people interpret the world differently based on their own life experiences. Our beliefs, cultural backgrounds, past hurts, and even our values shape how we perceive interactions. For example, two people might witness the same event but interpret it completely differently based on their own perspectives. One might see it as a slight while the other sees it as inconsequential. This difference in perception is at the heart of many misunderstandings. And it's key to remember that their perception is not necessarily an accurate reflection of you. It's shaped by their own internal world, not the truth of who you are. When you start to accept that other people's actions are about them, not you, it's easier to stop personalizing their behavior. This understanding can provide immense emotional freedom. You no longer feel like every criticism or harsh comment is a direct attack on your character. Instead, you begin to see their actions for what they are, an expression of their feelings, beliefs, and struggles. It's also crucial to understand that everyone has their own filters, and those filters are not always in alignment with reality. Imagine that each person has a pair of glasses they wear that color how they see the world. If someone is feeling insecure, overwhelmed, or hurt, they might view your actions through a lens of defensiveness or vulnerability. For example, if you make a suggestion and someone takes it as criticism, it might not have anything to do with you or your intent. Instead, it might be because they are feeling criticized in other areas of their life, and they automatically project that feeling onto your words. This is why it's so important to not internalize the behaviors of others. They are dealing with their own experiences, filters, and emotional states. Their actions are reactions, not personal judgments of who you are as a person. When you start to recognize that, you can shift your mindset and stop taking things personally. You can maintain your sense of self-worth regardless of how others choose to act. But how do we let go of this tendency to internalize others' actions? One way is to develop a practice of emotional detachment. This means recognizing your emotions in response to someone's actions, but not allowing those emotions to define you. It means giving yourself the space to feel hurt or upset, but then quickly reminding yourself that this reaction isn't a reflection of your value. It's simply a momentary response to another person's behavior. Emotional detachment isn't about being cold or indifferent. Rather, it's about not allowing someone else's emotions to dictate how you feel about yourself. The more you can accept that people's actions reflect their own personal experiences and struggles, the easier it will be to let go of the need to defend yourself or explain yourself. You'll stop questioning your worth based on someone else's mood or behavior. And in doing so, you'll experience greater peace and freedom in your interactions with others. Ultimately, by internalizing the idea that others' actions are not a reflection of your worth, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster that comes with personalizing every negative encounter. People will continue to react, project, and express themselves, but their actions will no longer have the power to define your value. You'll be able to look at their words and behavior with more compassion for them and less emotional weight for yourself. This is a powerful shift, and it's one that leads to greater emotional resilience and inner peace. Emotional detachment can be a difficult concept to grasp, especially in a world that encourages us to feel deeply and personally about everything. Yet, emotional detachment is one of the most powerful tools you can develop for maintaining inner peace and emotional stability. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent to the world around you. Rather, it's about learning to separate your emotions from external events and interactions, allowing you to respond to situations with clarity and balance. This practice helps you avoid being swayed by the actions, opinions, and emotions of others, empowering you to stay grounded and focused. To begin with, emotional detachment requires an understanding of how emotions work. Emotions are natural responses to stimuli. Something happens and we feel a certain way about it. However, many of us have a tendency to internalize emotions to the point that they define our reality. Someone says something hurtful and suddenly we feel worthless or angry. A stressful event occurs and we allow anxiety to consume us. Over time, this can lead to emotional burnout and a loss of personal control. Emotional detachment, in its essence, is about recognizing that while emotions are valid and real, they don't have to dictate our actions or define who we are. One of the first steps in practicing emotional detachment is acknowledging your emotions without judgment. It's essential to give yourself permission to feel, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, or joy. These emotions are natural and there's no need to suppress them. However, instead of allowing them to take over and influence your behavior in negative ways, you can practice observing them. When you feel upset or triggered by something, take a moment to pause and simply acknowledge the feeling without attaching a story to it. For instance, if someone says something that hurts your feelings, don't immediately jump to conclusions about what that means for your self-worth. Instead, recognize that you feel hurt and give yourself space to process it before reacting. By becoming an observer of your own emotions, you create a space between the event and your reaction. You no longer feel compelled to react impulsively to every situation, which helps you maintain a sense of control. Emotional detachment doesn't mean suppressing emotions. Rather, it means acknowledging them without letting them control you. This practice can take time, but as you get more comfortable with it, you'll find that you can move through emotionally charged situations without becoming overwhelmed by them. Another aspect of emotional detachment is recognizing that you cannot control other people's emotions or behavior. One of the most challenging things for many of us is the desire to influence how others feel or to take responsibility for their emotional reactions. When someone gets upset with you or acts negatively toward you, it's easy to assume that it's your responsibility to fix the situation. However, the truth is, We have no control over how others think or feel. We can't change their behavior or force them to act a certain way, and trying to do so often only leads to frustration. Emotional detachment allows you to separate yourself from others' emotional states. You understand that someone's anger or frustration is theirs to handle, and you don't need to carry that burden for them. This is particularly important in relationships, whether personal or professional, because it frees you from the cycle of trying to manage or fix someone else's emotions. You don't have to feel responsible for their reactions. By accepting this, you release yourself from unnecessary emotional strain and take back control of your own emotional energy. In addition to recognizing that you can't control others, emotional detachment also requires letting go of the need for validation from external sources. Many of us seek approval, reassurance, or validation from others to feel good about ourselves. But when we base our self-worth on the opinions of others, we become vulnerable to being constantly influenced by their moods, judgments, and behaviors. Emotional detachment involves building self-validation, learning to trust your own worth without needing others to affirm it. When you begin to validate yourself, you detach from the need for external approval. This means that you no longer seek someone else's approval for your decisions, your appearance, or your actions. Instead, you look inward for validation and approval, recognizing that you are enough as you are. This shift allows you to feel more at ease in your own skin, regardless of how others might react to you. A key component of emotional detachment is acceptance, the ability to accept things as they are without the need to change them. Life is full of situations and people that we cannot control. When we fight against what is happening, we create unnecessary emotional stress. Practicing acceptance doesn't mean resigning ourselves to things that are harmful or unjust. Rather, it means choosing to focus on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. By accepting situations as they are, without attaching emotional weight to them, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Lastly, emotional detachment requires setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are an essential part of self-care, and they help protect you from being emotionally drained or manipulated by others. When you establish boundaries, you are teaching others how to treat you and how much emotional energy you are willing to give. Healthy boundaries give you the space to maintain emotional detachment because they allow you to protect your peace and prevent others from overstepping. Without boundaries, it becomes much harder to maintain emotional detachment, as you'll find yourself constantly accommodating others' emotional needs at the expense of your own well-being. In summary, emotional detachment is not about becoming emotionally numb or indifferent to the world around you. It's about recognizing that while emotions are natural, they don't have to govern your reactions. It's about learning to observe your emotions without judgment, understanding that you can't control others, seeking validation from within, accepting what you cannot change, and setting boundaries to protect your peace. By practicing emotional detachment, you empower yourself to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience, clarity, and inner calm. As she sat watching the world go by, something caught her eye. It wasn't so much its color or shape, but the way it was moving. She squinted to see if she could better understand what it was and where it was going, but it didn't help. As she continued to stare into the distance, she didn't understand why this uneasiness was building inside her body, building strong self-worth and inner confidence is one of the most transformative and empowering things you can do for yourself. It provides a foundation for navigating life's challenges, managing difficult relationships, and facing obstacles with resilience. When you possess true self-worth, you understand your inherent value and feel secure in who you are, regardless of external validation. Inner confidence is the quiet but unwavering belief in your abilities and your right to be who you are. Together, these qualities help you create a life that is true to yourself, allowing you to move forward with strength, self-assurance, and peace. The journey of building self-worth starts with recognizing your inherent value as a person. Too often, we base our self-worth on external achievements or the approval of others. We may equate our value with how much we've accomplished, how we look, or how much others like us. However, self-worth is not contingent upon external factors. It comes from within. You are valuable simply because you exist. Every person has unique qualities, strengths, and contributions to offer the world. And these are the things that make you inherently worthy. Recognizing this fundamental truth, once you acknowledge that your value doesn't depend on the opinions of others or your achievements, you begin to free yourself from the pressures of seeking constant validation from outside sources. The next step in building self-worth is to practice self-compassion. Often we are our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to unattainably high standards and beating ourselves up for mistakes. This inner dialogue can erode our sense of self-worth and lead to feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. Instead of focusing on your flaws or perceived shortcomings, learn to treat yourself with kindness and understanding, just as you would treat a close friend. When you make a mistake or fall short, rather than criticizing yourself, acknowledge your effort and understand that growth is a process. Self-compassion allows you to embrace your humanity, recognizing that imperfections are part of what makes you unique and relatable. By showing yourself kindness in moments of struggle, you build resilience and strengthen your belief in your inherent value. Another essential aspect of building strong self-worth is setting and maintaining boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. When you set boundaries, you demonstrate to yourself that your needs, time, and energy are important. This act of self-respect helps reinforce your sense of self-worth. Without boundaries, it's easy to feel overextended, undervalued, or unappreciated, and this can lead to diminished self-esteem. Setting healthy boundaries involves saying no when something doesn't serve you or when it goes against your values. It also means prioritizing your own needs and creating space for self-care. By consistently setting and honoring boundaries, you send a message to yourself that you are deserving of respect and that your well-being matters. Building inner confidence is closely tied to taking action and proving to yourself that you can handle challenges. Confidence doesn't come from wishing or hoping that things will go well. It comes from experiencing success, learning from failure, and proving to yourself that you are capable. Confidence is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. So start by taking small steps toward goals that are meaningful to you. Whether it's tackling a new project at work, taking up a new hobby, or speaking up in a meeting, each action you take builds your confidence. With every challenge you face, your belief in your abilities increases. It's important to celebrate your victories, no matter how small they may seem, because they add up and reinforce your self-belief. And just as important, don't be discouraged by setbacks. Confidence grows through perseverance. And every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow. Another key aspect of building inner confidence is positive self-talk. The way we talk to ourselves shapes the way we perceive our abilities. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough or that you're incapable, your confidence will naturally erode. Instead, practice speaking to yourself in an encouraging, positive, and supportive way. When you face challenges, tell yourself that you are capable and resourceful. When you make mistakes, remind yourself that it's part of the learning process. Positive self-talk is a powerful tool because it shapes your mindset and influences how you perceive your own abilities. The more you practice affirming your strengths, the more naturally your confidence will grow. Part of building strong self-worth and inner confidence also involves embracing your uniqueness. Many of us struggle with comparing ourselves to others, but comparison is one of the quickest ways to erode self-worth. Everyone has their own journey, their own challenges, and their own set of circumstances. Instead of measuring your worth by someone else's standards, embrace the things that make you unique. Celebrate your individual strengths, talents, and qualities, knowing that what you bring to the world is valuable. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you can begin to appreciate who you are and what you contribute. This mindset shift allows you to focus on growth rather than self-criticism and fosters confidence that is rooted in your authentic self. Lastly, surround yourself with people who lift you up. The people you choose to be around have a significant impact on your self-worth and confidence. Positive, supportive relationships help reinforce your belief in yourself, while toxic or negative relationships can drain your energy and diminish your self-esteem. Seek out people who encourage you, celebrate your successes, and challenge you to be your best self. When you're surrounded by individuals who genuinely support you, it becomes easier to believe in your own value and capabilities. These relationships act as mirrors, reflecting back your worth and reminding you that you are deserving of love, respect, and success. Building strong self-worth and inner confidence is a lifelong journey, but it's one that pays immense rewards. By recognizing your inherent value, practicing self-compassion, setting boundaries, taking action, and embracing your uniqueness, you create a strong foundation for self-belief that will help you navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. The more you invest in these practices, the stronger your sense of self-worth and confidence will become, and the more empowered you will feel to live a life that is true to who you are. Overthinking is a common habit that many people struggle with, particularly when it comes to analyzing every interaction and conversation. It often involves replaying events in your mind, picking apart every word or gesture, and wondering if you said or did something wrong. This tendency to overanalyze can leave you feeling drained, uncertain, and bogged down by unnecessary stress. The truth is, overthinking doesn't serve you. It only adds confusion and doubt to situations that in reality are far simpler than your mind wants to make them. Learning how to stop overthinking and release the need to analyze every interaction is essential for your mental well-being and emotional peace. One of the first steps in stopping overthinking is recognizing when you're caught in the cycle. Overthinking is often subtle, creeping in during moments of doubt or insecurity. You might have a conversation with someone and immediately after, your mind starts racing. Did I say the right thing? Was my tone too harsh? Did I offend them? Did they notice my nervousness? These thoughts start to multiply and can overwhelm your mind. The problem is that when you start down this path of overthinking, you begin to lose perspective. You start attaching meanings to things that may not even exist. One comment or interaction becomes magnified, and it can cloud your judgment and your sense of reality. To break the cycle, it's important to recognize that you can't control other people's thoughts or reactions. Overthinking often comes from the desire to predict or control the outcome of a situation. You might worry about how your actions or words will be interpreted, trying to preemptively manage every possibility. However, no matter how much you analyze the situation, you can never truly know how someone else is thinking or feeling. People's reactions are influenced by their own experiences, emotions, and perspectives, none of which are within your control. Understanding this can help release the pressure to overanalyze every interaction. When you realize that someone else's response is about them, not you, it becomes easier to let go of the need to dissect every word and gesture. Another key to stopping overthinking is practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present in the moment without judgment when you're engaged in an interaction. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong or what was said, practice simply listening and being present. This means truly hearing the person you're speaking with without constantly worrying about your next response or how your words might be interpreted. When you engage with others in this way, you free yourself from the constant mental chatter that comes with overthinking. Instead of replaying the conversation later in your mind, you can trust that you gave the interaction your full attention. This shift in focus helps to reduce the mental energy spent analyzing every detail. Another way to stop overthinking is to challenge your assumptions. Often when we overanalyze, we're operating on assumptions rather than facts. We assume that something we said offended someone or that a slight hesitation in their voice means they're upset with us. But these assumptions are rarely accurate. They are often shaped by our own insecurities or past experiences, not the reality of the situation. So when you catch yourself overthinking, pause and ask yourself, what do I actually know about this situation? What are the facts, not the imagined scenario? Did the person give any indication that they were upset? Were their words or actions truly negative, or are you reading into them based on your own fears or anxieties? When you challenge these assumptions, you begin to break free from the cycle of overanalyzing and make space for a more balanced perspective. It's also essential to set boundaries with your thoughts. Just as we set boundaries with others to protect our energy, we can set boundaries with ourselves when it comes to overthinking. One effective strategy is to set a specific time limit for thinking about a conversation or situation. For example, if you find yourself replaying a conversation in your mind, tell yourself, I'll spend the next 10 minutes reflecting on this, but after that, I'm moving on. By creating a structured time frame, you prevent yourself from spiraling into excessive rumination. After the time is up, you actively choose to shift your focus to something else, whether it's a task at hand, a hobby, or simply taking a break from the mental overload. Over time, you'll get better at setting these boundaries and not letting your thoughts dominate your attention. Another important aspect of stopping overthinking is developing self-compassion. Overthinking is often driven by self-doubt and the fear of making mistakes. You might worry that if you don't analyze every detail, you'll miss something important or make a poor impression. But when you practice self-compassion, you realize that you are human and you don't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes, and that's okay. Treat yourself with kindness and recognize that no one is expecting you to be flawless in every interaction. Self-compassion allows you to release the need to constantly scrutinize yourself because you understand that being imperfect doesn't diminish your worth. One final step in ending the cycle of overthinking is to trust yourself and your decisions. Many times we overanalyze because we lack confidence in our ability to make the right choices. We question our responses and wonder if we said the right thing. But the more you trust yourself, the less you feel the need to analyze every interaction. Trust that you are capable of navigating conversations and situations with grace and authenticity. Trust that if you make a mistake, you can handle it and learn from it. When you cultivate this self-trust, it becomes easier to move forward without getting stuck in the loop of overthinking. Ultimately, stopping overthinking is about freeing yourself from the grip of self-doubt and allowing yourself to experience life as it is rather than getting lost in imagined scenarios. By recognizing the power of your thoughts, staying present, challenging your assumptions, and practicing self-compassion, you can release the need to analyze every interaction. Life becomes simpler, clearer, and more peaceful when you stop overthinking, allowing you to engage with others and the world around you without the burden of unnecessary mental clutter.